So today I would like to share with you a couple of things that I do different in my square foot garden, which are not in the book. So I've been using this method of gardening for many years, and if you are using this method too, you may find that you will adapt your gardening practices over time too. So I wanted to just share with you a couple of things that I do that always gives me a very bountiful harvest there in the only 6 inches of soil that I'm growing in the square foot garden. So as you know, whenever we are pulling out our plants and we're going behind it and we're planting something else, we always refresh the bed with a nice blend of a compost mix. And so I typically will do this at the very beginning of the year. I might refresh my beds, and maybe as I'm transitioning to my summer garden from my spring garden, I need to also add some more compost at that time. But sometimes I just don't have the nice blend of compost that I like to use. If I think ahead, I might put some aside, so I'll have it throughout the year. But I have 2 square foot gardens in 2 different areas, and so I don't always have the blend with me. But it is very important to use compost, so sometimes I'll just have one bag that I pick up somewhere at a specialty nursery or at the home improvement store. So I'll at least have one type of compost that I can add. And what I do now is I also add a little bit of an organic fertilizer, especially for those summer plants like peppers and tomatoes. It's real important that we give the needed phosphorus to those plants so they can produce blooms and produce fruit for us. And we're only growing in 6 inches of soil, so it's real important that we make sure our plants are getting the nutrition that they need. So I'm real happy that these have been on the market now. They're readily available at the home improvement stores, very easy to get. You can even order them on Amazon. And basically, these products are about the same. I've used both of them. I'm not going to recommend one over another, but these products and others that are like them contain a lot of the same type of ingredients like feather meal, composted poultry manure, bone meal, and many other things like gypsum, which will help keep the product from caking up on you. But I like to use this when I'm in a pinch and I don't have the nice blend of compost that I need for my garden. So all I do is when I'm planting my tomatoes or peppers, I'll just follow the package instructions, and I usually put about 1.5 tablespoons per hole when I'm planting them, and then I'll go back and top dress the soil about every 2 to 3 weeks with a little bit more and water it in real good. So another tip I'd like to share with you is it's not always possible for me to refresh my beds every spring before I get my spring planting going. Sometimes I just don't, I can't get by the store, and I'll just get out there and start planting anyway. But it is important to take a look at your soil, and if it looks like this and it's real dry and you don't see a lot of the vermiculite in it, I like to go back and just spot treat my soil for each planting. So I will make up some Mel's Mix, a little bin of it. I usually keep vermiculite in my garage where it's nice and dry, and I'll keep a little peat moss in there too. But if I see my garden puddling or the water is running off like this, then that usually tells me as a gardener that I need to refresh my soil a little bit. So when I go back in to plant things like peppers and tomatoes, for instance, I'll add a couple of scoopfuls of Mel's Mix that I've made with perhaps, usually at that time, it's just one type of compost. And I'll also go in behind it with a tablespoon or so of some of the tomato plant food. And that works really well for me. So I just wanted to let you know that sometimes if you can't go by and just refresh your whole entire bed, just make you up a little bit for each planting. And then when you're watering your tomatoes, peppers, and other plants, you will notice that that vermiculite will just soak up the water like little tiny sponges. That's what I like to call it, because that's what it's referred to as in the book, as little tiny sponges. That'll keep giving your plants the moisture that they need as they're growing. And then of course you have the compost, and then perhaps some of the organic fertilizer in there too. And that's really all your plants really need. They want water and they want some nutrition. And I guess that's why the square foot gardening method is so successful. So if it's your first year with a square foot garden, you will not need to do this because your soil is going to be beautiful probably for the next 2 or 3 years. But as that soil breaks down and the vermiculite breaks down, this is just something that I found that it's an easy way to grow vegetables in the existing soil. So I hope this helps you grow some big and beautiful vegetables in only 6 inches of soil. And I'd also like to let you know, if you haven't already checked out my channel, I have a playlist over there. A lot of them are specifically for the square foot gardening method. Please make sure too that you've clicked that little bell off to the right of the subscribed button, and you'll receive all notifications from my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and y'all have a beautiful day.